All right, we'll go ahead and start. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our first Campinar, which is just our funky camp name for webinar as we prepare for camp. And today is going to be pretty short and simple. We're going to be talking about camper forms and, why are forms important? What forms do we actually need? How forms are submitted? And then when they're due. And then at the end, we are going to open it up to question and answer for y'all. And so if you have any questions and we don't answer them, please ask us at the end. And then also, um, there should be an opportunity if you're on your computer to chat down below. So if you have a question that just comes up, feel free to type it in and then we'll try to answer at the end. But thank y'all for joining us. Yeah, camp is right around the corner and we're excited. And there's a lot of stuff happening. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name's Travis Adams. I'm the head director at Camp Huawni and also our men's staff director. And then Hui is on the phone. Hui, you want to say hi?
Hi guys, I am the family liaison. I don't know if I've talked to any of you, but I have a pretty heavy, thick accent. So if I'm talking super fast, please let me know to slow down and I'll be more than happy to do that. And yeah, my job is to make sure that you guys know everything before camp about camp, and then during camp is to keep communication between you and the camper or any questions that you might have.
Yep.
So I'll give it back to you, Trav.
Awesome. All right, well, let's dive in. One other quick thing. So today we're going to talk about forms. Next Tuesday, we're going to be doing a camp on packing, which many of you on the call are probably pros. And so we'd love to have you back to give some tips and tricks. And then the following Tuesday, we're going to do our last camp on opening day. And so please join us. It'll be 12 o'clock the next two Tuesdays as well. And then also, if you have a friend who wanted to be on the call, but you couldn't make the call, we're going to make this available on our blog page. So we'll post the video, and if they want to rewatch this, they can. Um, and we'll get started. So the first question is, why are forms important? Um, and there's three main reasons. One is safety. Camp, we fall under the Texas Department of Health department here in Texas, and then we also voluntarily are a member of the American Camping Association, which they have an additional, or they have 300 or so guidelines and standards that we agree to abide by. Just because we think safety is super important and it's a great checks and balances to keep our campers safe. And so that's one of the biggest reasons. And then also to know your child. One of the things that we try to do before you guys ever show up to camp on opening day is to have a really good idea of how your kid's doing. Has it been a hard year? What's going on with your family? And certainly you can share what you want to, but any information that you can share with us, the counselors are going to know ahead of time. And that helps us hit the ground running on day one so that they can grow during camp and, and really get the most out of camp. And then lastly, we want to make um, the opening day check-in process super easy this summer. And I know we've made a few tweaks, but hopefully this summer you're going to see a big difference. And a big part of making opening day smooth for you is going to be making sure that all your forms are in on time. And so, yeah, so, and if you have questions about that, please ask me. Um, but opening day is a big deal, and forms are easy. Opening day is easy when you get your forms in on time. Okay, first question is, what forms do I need and how do I submit them? And so we're going to go through each form individually, and then at the end of this, I'm going to share how to send that in, and Hui, please feel free to chime in because Hui's very knowledgeable and she knows this better than I do. So first, where do you even find forms? And so one thing that you can do when you log in to your camper's account on your Camp in Touch, so when you go to the home page and you click up here to this person icon, that's going to log you into what we call Camp in Touch, as many of you guys know. And so when you get in there, I'm actually going to go to what it looks like. So right when you log in, let me try again. Let me see here. When you log in, it's going to give you an option to go to your forms dashboard. Here we go, forms and documents. So when you click on forms and documents, that takes you into all of the forms that you're going to need for this summer. It shows the form, the due date, and then the status, and then this last column here is if there's any additional things you need to do, like print the form or upload it, etc. It'll tell you. And so all of these forms are required, and we'll get into that in a minute, except for the transportation form. The transportation form is really only for families that are flying in on an airplane to one of our airports. And so let's go first to the health history form. So over here, you're going to see the computer icon. That just means that you fill out this form online on your computer, so you don't have to print anything out. And once you click on here, you're going to go through and it's going to ask you a lot of different information about your child's health history. It's pretty basic. The other thing to note on the health history form is there's a section in there for immunization records. Now, as you'll notice, there's an immunization form. We really make this option available because some of y'all have in the past put your immunization records on the health history form. Okay, that is totally okay. And just know that if you put your immunization records on the health history form and you manually enter those, you do not have to turn in the immunization form, this PDF form, which is number 2. And so to submit,
really quick.
Oh, go ahead, Hui.
So whenever if you fill out the immunization on the health history form, it's going to immediately mark the immunization. So this one over here, that one, it will mark it as completed. Wonderful. Like as submitted. So you don't have to worry about going back and submitting it to us because it will recognize that the immunization forms were given.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's great. So yeah, so if you put in your immunizations on the health history form, it will automatically mark your immunization form, which is number 2 here, complete. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, received. I will be the one marking complete, but like received, so you don't have to worry about doing anything with that one.
Okay, perfect. And then to submit the health history form, so how do we submit it? You're just going to, at the end of this, click submit online, and then that will mark your health history complete. So pretty simple. The second form is the immunization form. Okay, this form, so if you do not put in your information in the health history form for immunizations, you'll actually need to fill out the immunization form. And as you can see over here, there's a barcode, and that signifies that this is a fax. You need to fax this back to Camp Huawni, and it will be automatically routed into your Camp in Touch account. Now, we'll kind of go through that. But the immunization form, let's take a quick look at that. It's pretty simple. Your child's name, session, date of birth, and then certainly a lot of people get this done by their doctor. You can have them fill that out. And the big I guess the big point with this form, which can be confusing if you haven't done it before, is you notice this barcode here on the right-hand side, okay? And then you'll notice at the bottom our fax number here. So I know that a lot of you go to the doctor and they print out a form for you. That's totally okay, but the main thing that you need to remember when faxing this form in is this page that we're looking at right here, this immunization form, even if it's blank and you have a separate sheet on the back side that is from your doctor, this page right here needs to be the top page or the cover sheet. Because what happens is when you send it to this 936-398-6144 number, because it's the top page, we will automatically read that barcode and it'll automatically get routed into your Camp and Touch account, okay? If you fax in a sheet to this number that doesn't have this barcode as the top sheet, then we will not know that you have sent it in. So please, please, please remember to put this as the cover page, even if you have a separate immunization form. And especially if your doctor's sending it in, you're just going to need to let them know, say, hey, here's our immunization form with the barcode and the fax number. Please make this the cover page. And you can put C attached, and we'll get that second page, and it'll automatically route to your Camp and Touch form. So it's a really great feature, but you just kind of have to know that that's how it works. Otherwise, we won't receive your immunization form. And if y'all have questions about this, please ask me, because this is kind of one that's a little bit tricky. All right, next up we have, let's see. Here we go. All right, next form is the parent authorization form. I don't believe we had this form. Well, we had this form last year, but you were actually fill it out on opening day. This is part of the process of us trying to make it easier for our families to get in and out of camp on opening day. So now this form is available today for y'all. And let's see. And let's just take a look at what it looks like. But this form is important because one, it gives us a copy of your insurance card and your prescription card. So if your child gets sick or they bump their knee or something, we have to go into town and see our doctor. It makes it super easy for us to have access to your insurance. And the other thing is you'll see this authorization statement. This is what you filled out on opening day last summer. But essentially what it gives, it's a permission to treat. So it gives us the ability, whether that's our registered nurse on site or our nursing staff, to treat your child. So please read through that, and then you would sign and date that. But this is going to make it way easier on opening day because we don't need this on opening day. We'll already have it from you ahead of time. And let me see if there's anything else. Oh, and then so the one thing about this form that's a little bit different is if for some reason, and we haven't had this to my knowledge, but if there is a reason, and there may be a good reason for sure, to not give authorization for whatever reason, you just at this point below need to write that I do not give authorization or permission to treat to Camp Huawni, and then sign and date it, so that we know that you do not give permission to treat. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that would be the case for anybody, but please write that there and sign and date it if you do not give permission to treat. And if you have questions, call us and we can talk about this form. Another question with the parent authorization form, and this just has to do with insurance, is the question is, what if we do not have health insurance? And so if that's the case, we really ask you to contact Deanne Miller. She's at Hibbs Hallmark, who is our insurance provider, and they can connect you with some sort of temporary health insurance while your child's at camp. Her number is 903-561-8484. That's 903-561-8484. And her name is Deanne Miller with Hibbs Hallmark, and she can certainly help you. She'd be happy to. And again, that may not be the case for most people, but if it is, I know we have some campers that are that live outside the United States, and so hopefully that's helpful. All right, number 4 is our physician's examination form, which you'll see right here, number 4. One more thing. On the parent authorization form, what you're going to need to do is you download the form here, which I showed everybody, and then you're actually going to click this upload button here. So you'll need to scan that form in on your computer and then upload it to your Camp and Touch account. So as you can see, you just click that button there, you click choose the file, and then you can upload that form onto your Camp and Touch forms dashboard. All right, number 4 is physician's examination. And so the physician's exam essentially says that your child is healthy to attend camp, and it's got to be done by your doctor. Now, the one main specification about this form is that you have to have a physician's exam within 12 months while your child's at camp. So if your child is at camp this summer, let's say session 2, so up until June 25th-ish, then their physician's exam needs to be within 12 months of them being at camp. I guess it'd be after June 25th of last summer need to be that time frame. Now, if for some reason, I know some of y'all, maybe you had a physician's exam and their session this summer falls within that 12-month period, please email us, email fun@camphuawni.com, and Huey will get that email and just say, you can title the subject line forms or physician's exam form, and let us know that the one that you turned in last year actually falls within that same time period, and you feel comfortable with that. Then we can actually go in and upload your last year's physician examination from your Camp and Touch. You cannot access that, unfortunately. You can't access last year's forms, but we can go in and grab it for you if it fits the right time frame. And then you'll see, how do we send the physician's exam form? And you can see, again, there's this barcode icon here. And again, that means we need to fax that back in just like we did the immunization record. So again, let me go to it just to show everybody. But at the bottom here, you see on this physician's exam, there's a barcode again. And again, at the bottom is our fax number. So remember, if the doctor does not fill out this particular form, make sure the doctor has this form so they can use it as the cover page, as the top sheet, and they can say see attached, and then the doctor's office can put their own custom form that has the same information on it behind it. So don't forget, if it's got a barcode on it, it's got to be the cover page. That's the main thing. And then one other thing too, again, if fax machines are almost outdated, but if you don't have a fax machine, we would encourage you, just your doctors do, give them the sheet and they can fax it for you. I know that's been helpful for a lot of families. All right, Huey, I'm going to give you the controls. We're going to talk about our transportation form, and this is really for any families that will be arriving by air. And so bear with me, and I'm going to make Huey the organizer. All right, Huey, take it away.
So the transportation form is this one, and is super helpful, super easy. So if the kid is flying from out of state into one of the airports that we pick up, all you guys have to do is click on here and then go down here and just fill everything up. It just is super detailed here. Let me see.
Huey, are you sharing your screen? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Am I not? Are you not seeing it?
Well, I can't, but as long as you're there's a green light on your screen, we're good.
Okay. I think I am.
Okay.
And then here for pickup, it will be the same. So it has all the details, time, flight, and carrier, and all of that. And then you'll be able to mark all of that, and we want to have it 2 weeks prior to the kids' arrivals to make sure that we schedule everything accordingly for pickup. And
Perfect,
that's
Julie.
it.
I think we got a comment that they were seeing my screen, so I'm sure it's my fault. Let me show y'all real quick. This is who he's talking about.
Sorry.
No, it's not. I think it's my fault. Anyways, basically, when you click on the transportation form, like Huey said, there's a place to do to camp and from camp. And essentially, you just go in and put your flight information. And like Huey said, we prefer to have that 2 weeks before you get to camp, but at least we need it about at least a week out, just so we can plan the pickup for y'all. So again, travel form, is not mandatory, only if you're flying into camp. So all right, let's go back to the last form. And outside of child safety, I mean, I would argue that this is the most important form, and we started doing this last year. Let me make sure. Can y'all see my screen okay?
I can.
Okay.
So everybody should be able to.
Okay. Let me see. Suzanne, can you see? Okay, there we go. Great. Y'all can see my screen. Okay, the last form, again, I'd argue is the most important form outside of safety is this youth development intake form. Last year, so my wife, Mandy, who is a licensed professional counselor, came up with this form. And what we really want to do is better know how your child is doing coming into camp. And so you can see here, I think there's 7 questions. Everything from, hey, how do you want to see your child grow, to have there been any significant life events for your child in the last 5 years? And so feel free to enter any or all or some of that information, but that just goes a long way from y'all stepping in the cabin and those counselors knowing and our directors knowing how your child's doing. This last year was not a required form, but this year we actually did make it a required form because it provided so much helpful information for our staff. It was phenomenal, and just to see how that correlated with how kids' camp went was really, really neat. So the youth development intake form, like I said, it is required this year, so it'll probably take you 10 minutes. If you want to spend more time, please do. And that is the final form. And just like the health history form, see that computer screen, you just fill it out on your account, so you do not have to fax anything or print anything. Excuse me. And then again, just to remind everybody, all of these forms are required except for the transportation form if you're not flying into camp. And the immunization form would not be required if you filled it out on the health history form, which is online. So again, please, if you have questions, we are available for you guys. From now until camp, we're constantly talking to our families, making sure you have everything you need. And then the last thing, and this is right here on the status, but just a reminder that all forms are due May 15th or sooner. Now, there's 2 exceptions to that. One is if you obviously have a doctor's appointment set up for May 29th, because that's the earliest that you can get in. That is totally okay. And you can just let us know. We're going to start pinging all of our families just to say, hey, forms are due. These are the ones that we have. These are the ones we don't have. And feel free to email Huey if you're like, well, I thought I sent that in, or we're going to the doctor May 28th, whatever. And then we just want to make sure that these are all done, because if you have all your forms in before opening day is going to be much easier this summer. And we're going to actually talk about that 2 weeks from today in our third Campinar. Did I miss anything, Huey, as far as
No.
on forms?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Forms aren't super fun like camp is, so I just want to apologize for the. We have a lot more fun in the office, and certainly at camp, than we do talking about forms. But let's go ahead. We're going to open it up to question and answer. And so there's two ways you can ask questions. You can either type it in if you're on your computer, and some of y'all have already used that function, which is really cool to see. Or you can just ask us. And so I'm going to unmute folks. But does anybody have a question? And we will do our best to answer it.
I do, Travis. On the immunizations, my kids are both up to date on their shots, and neither one of them are due for any. Do we have to go back and have another form filled out again from the doctor this year, even though they're up to date and everything?
No, and Julie, you can correct me, but if it's up to date, just fax that in with the immunization. We still need a copy of it, but you don't
Okay,
have
so
to.
I still need to get a copy from the doctor.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You still need to get that cover page and fax it in with that. Yeah.
Okay, I thought maybe you could use what you had from last year, that we could use the same one.
Well,
if they're up.
Huey, would it be okay if it is? I mean, of course, we can just take note right now. But if you want to email us, do we have access to those, Huey, from last year?
I can check and
Okay.
make sure. I'm pretty sure we do.
It's just easy. It's not a big deal. I can get a copy.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll double check on that, and then. But yeah, so I guess the answer to the question is, if you have an immunization form that's up to date, either refax it in, or
Okay.
shoot Huey an email to fun@Camp Huawni, and we will go grab it for you and drop it in this year's, because we really, again, for safety reasons, we want to have all the current files on the 2016 on your unified person record.
Yeah.
So that, if they had to go to the doctor, we pull it up, it's right there available, and we can, go to the doctor or whatever.
Okay.
Great question. Who else? Anybody else got a question? Let me see if there's anybody. And you can, like I said, you can also type something if you have a question. Let me ask you, I've got a question. If you have a question, please chime in, because we'll be on here for a couple more minutes. But is there anything else, Kelly, from your perspective that is tricky, or maybe that you've had a question about before that you learned since?
No, I don't think so. I think everything's pretty much straightforward. I was hoping that we could use the same application that we had last year. We wouldn't have to do it again.
Yes. And then one thing too, because it's the whole idea of if nothing's changed, it's just easier to. I wish I could just click a button, and we have asked that to Campminder, because that would be really, really helpful. But I do know on the health history form, if you put any prior information, it should pre-fill. So hopefully with the health history form, you don't have to go back and enter in a bunch of new information.
Okay.
But yeah, that can be a little bit of a time zapper. Great. Anybody else? All right. Well, it looks like we got under the 30-minute mark. Thank y'all so much for joining us. This is great. Hopefully it was helpful. Again, if you think of a question after this webinar, just shoot us an email. And if you have questions about forms, please let us know, and we will do our best to make it easy for you. And then the last thing is next Tuesday. So same time, 12 o'clock Central. Julie and I are going to be hopping on the Campinar and talking about packing. And so I would really encourage y'all, the same people, if y'all want to join the call, it'd be great, especially if you have tips and or tricks or things that you've learned. And And again, we'll try to record it as well. But thank y'all for joining us, and we will see y'all very soon.
Great. Thank you for jumping in.
Thanks.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.